This is a reading from the Gospel of Mark. Jesus sat down opposite the treasury and watched the people putting money into the treasury, and many of the rich put in a great deal. A poor widow came and put in 2 small coins, the equivalent of a penny. Then he called his disciples and said to them, "I tell you solemnly, this poor widow has put more in than all who have contributed to the treasury, for they have all put in money they had over, but she, from the little she had, has put in everything she possessed, all that she has to live on." The Gospel of the Lord. 2 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence, Elizabeth Bailey was born in New York City. At the age of 20, she married William Seton, and they had 5 children. However, later, William contracted tuberculosis, and the family relocated to Italy, where the doctors believed that the weather would be more conducive to a cure. However, unfortunately, there, William Seton died. After she and her children returned to the United States from Italy, she began receiving instructions to be received into the Catholic Church. She was so impressed with the charity and kindness of the Catholic family who received them into their home in Italy that she decided to embrace their faith. This had serious consequences, including the rejection by both her own family and her late husband's family. Elizabeth became a teacher and came to the attention of the Bishop of Baltimore, John Carroll, and he asked her to open a school in Emmitsburg, a poor rural area. With great difficulty and sacrifice, she established a school, and eventually, with the other young women whom the bishop sent to her, she formed the American branch of the Sisters of Charity. She was canonized in 1975, the first American-born saint. We meet 2 other widows in the readings this weekend. In the first book of Kings, we meet the widow of Zarephath, who was destitute, yet was willing to give all that she had to feed God's servant Elijah the prophet. God blessed her for her generosity, her total giving in faith, and rewarded her. In the Gospel, we meet another widow in similar circumstances. She came to the temple to give her contribution, and although it was only 2 small coins, it was all she had. Whereas others had given of what they had left over, she gave all from the little she had. Powerful messages and powerful testimonies. As I reflected on these examples, I thought, what kind of giver am I? One spiritual writer says that there are 3 types of givers. Grudge givers, those who feel they have to give and are resentful about it. Duty givers, those who feel obligated to give. And thank givers, who give from the heart without any resentment or feeling of obligation. These 3 types may be easy to identify with in our own lives and in people we know. Many years ago, I participated in a course in stewardship in Tampa, Florida. The first premise that we were introduced to is that the source of our stewardship, sharing our time, talents, and treasure, is gratitude. As followers of Jesus, we should be thank givers, recognizing that all we have and are comes from God, that God has blessed us and that God is with us. Obviously, this was what motivated the widow of Zarephath, the widow in the Gospel, and St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. Gratitude is the source of great joy and happiness. When we realize how much we are loved and how much we have been blessed, we can open ourselves up and share that which we have. If you feel that we have been hard done by and that God has forgotten us, we will probably be stingy and think twice before giving. Many times we think of stewardship only in terms of adult participation and contribution, but children and teens are called to stewardship too. Once again, the example of parents is often the defining point of how their children respond. All too often, using one's time, talent, and treasure in service of others does not come natural to some children. The mentality today often seems to be, how much do I get if I clean my room or put my things away or look after my younger sibling? I remember once after a food drive, speaking to the children of the Parish grade school, asking them to reflect on what they brought. I said to them, "How many of you went in the cupboard or pantry and took off the shelf what you most like, hoping that the family that receives your gift enjoys it too? Or how many went in and chose what you don't like and have no intention of eating?" A lot of heads went down when I said that, because a lot of them did just that. Like, what do I want to get rid of? Sometimes as adults, we are not aware of how our attitudes or practices can shape the ideas of stewardship of children and teens. Remember the saying, parents, don't be so concerned if it appears your children are not listening. Be more concerned that they're watching you. If parents are generous and good stewards of their time, talents, and treasure, there is a better chance that their children will grow up being a thank giver and into good stewardship. In so many places that I've worked, I've seen examples of thank givers and good stewardship over and over again in the children, teens, and adults who give of their time, talent, and treasure for the common good, not thinking of themselves and what's in it for me. I hope from our experience as thank givers and good stewards, we recognize how we have been blessed for our giving of time, talent, and treasure. The friendships we have made, the gifts and talents that we have discovered in ourselves, and how suddenly, in the face of helping someone less fortunate than ourselves, we have discovered just how much we have been blessed. That gratitude is the source of our stewardship.